Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Dave Allen's comeback is complete. He's returned to the ring in a 4-rounder against Andrea Pesce in Sheffield on a Fight Zone card. Successful in this one, stopping Andrea Pesce inside 2 rounds. So we'll quickly go through the action, but it's the what next that's kind of the intriguing part, because the post-fight interview, Dave Allen kind of hinting he wants to get back to where he was based on having this fight and having been in there. Obviously, it's got a few things thinking, so maybe some of the reasons for coming back, which have been listed as other things, will fall by the wayside to some extent, and he will make a full-blown comeback to try to get back to where he was fighting and some of the opponents that he was fighting. But we'll get to those comments a little bit later. But also, if he continues to face this level of opposition, Andrea Pesce, out and out, or Pesce, an out and out journeyman, I mean, people will tire of this pretty quickly, but we'll come to that as well. But interesting sort of couple of rounds of action, because it was a little bit different to a typical Dave Allen fight where he had been fighting, because he was just basically wailing away on this journeyman who effectively didn't really throw many punches, and what he did throw, he couldn't knock the skin of a rice pudding. He was there to be hit, and he was hit often. Allen coming out strong, looking for sort of looping right hands, looking for the uppercut, planting his feet and letting his hands go early on. As the first round wore on, as he was battering his guy like a piece of fish, he was starting to work in the body shots, and you could see this was taking an effect on Pesce, a case where he was grimacing and backing up at some shots, and some of the right hands were taking a toll too. But Allen effectively target practice, getting away what he wanted to. When he wanted to use the jab, he threw it out there, he would land. When he wanted to throw the right hand, the left hook to the body, the uppercut, he would land. So Andrea Pesce, a 36-year-old journeyman from Italy, was basically just absorbing punishment from the get-go, and Allen just kept working in those body shots as the first round wore on. And as into the second round, more of the same. And he was dropped. It was sort of a sequence started by a right hand, followed by sort of a left hook, and a couple of other punches coming in sort of as he was on the way down. Beats the count. Dave Allen swarms him for a few seconds and then sort of resets, just sort of keeps the pressure on and the weight of his punches. Ultimately, the referee jumps in and waves it off. Didn't like what he saw. This was always going to be a case that he was going to win this one, win it well, and get a stoppage. I mean, this is what it was designed for. It was a soft lob for a first fight back. But how many more of these do we want to see? Because there was interest in the comeback, because obviously Dave Allen very publicly announced he was retiring. Some of those reasons, he obviously fell out of love with the sport. He had got to a certain level. He was starting to take beatings. There were health issues, and he gave it all away. But clearly he's missed it to some extent, and that was revealed in the post-fight interview as well. So we'll get to those comments, because he was saying that he assessed his performance as poor, that the time out of the ring, as his sort of father would say, does have a detrimental effect to a fighter, but it will take some time to get back where he was fighting. And he did indicate he might try to get back there. Bearing in mind, he's sort of in recent months spoken, part of the reason for coming back was to give his fighters opportunities on cards like this. This was a Dennis Hobson promotion for Fight Zone. A couple of his fighters, including Stevie Levy, were on the card. So he sort of pitched it and couched it mostly as he wants to give opportunities for his fighters, give something back to the sport of boxing. But he betrayed himself just a little bit with that comment that he might try to get back to where he was. Clearly, the event, the energy, the buzz, the hubbub of the whole thing took an effect on him. And I think he's sort of drunk on that sort of feeling that he gets from fights and big events and being part of them, and obviously winning. But he spoke of wanting to potentially fight for a British title. But when he mentioned the names of guys like Fabio Wardley or Alan Babbage, he described basically if he's going to get in with them, he's going in there to win and to compete with them and fight with them to beat them, not just to be an opponent. So he's obviously got some ambition to climb back to some certain level, because I think the reality is, you and I mean, I'm a maniac, so I got the subscription for Fight Zone for a month just for the one fight, and I'm sure a lot of other people were interested and potentially did the same. We're going to tire pretty quickly of seeing Dave Allen bang out, bang average Journeyman, when Dave Allen is the one that's the dominant fighter, and basically the other guy is target practice, which is an irony given often Dave Allen's been accused of being a punching bag who blocks punches with his face. We're going to get tired of that pretty quickly. As a novelty, as a one-off, yeah, sure. But he spoke about maybe another 4-rounder, move to some 6-rounders and take it from there. But he said whatever happens will be fun, and he would like to sort of, he doesn't have ambitions of a world title anymore, that a British title would be something that would be fantastic for him. But the indication he might try to get back to where he was, because the commentary as well, sort of, as soon as the fight was over, started waxing lyrical that there's some big fights out there for Dave Allen. The sort of fights that he's sort of spoken about not really having been interested in, but just that indication in the post-fight. And I think we all had the sneaking suspicion that it wasn't just some sort of altruistic sort of, I want to give back to the sport, I want to help my fighters, that he missed it, that he wanted to get back and be part of the big show. And ultimately, if he gets a call from someone like an Eddie Hearn or another big promoter for decent money, I think he'll be tempted. I think he'll take it. He'll take the beating, he'll take the loss, and he'll run with the money. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But, yeah, Dave Allen returns, gets a stoppage, absolute target practice on Andrea Pesce, wails away on him for a second-round stoppage. What did you make of it all? And what do you make of this comeback, and where will it go? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.